In this and the following lesson, we'll try to get a handle on how brains might be coding for faces. And one of the key ideas is that neurons in some of these brain regions that respond to faces have preferred stimuli. So they respond maximally to certain kinds of stimuli. Now, scientists have identified several areas in the brain that respond selectively to faces using fMRI techniques. And one of the most well-known regions is called the fusiform face area. This area shows heightened activity when the subject is looking at faces. In animal studies, scientists have identified similar regions and then, using microelectrodes, recorded from individual cells in the face area. And in this study, 97% of visually responsive cells in the fusiform face area were strongly face selective. And again, to be face selective means that faces activated the cell more than other types of stimuli. So for example, if we're recording from a fusiform face area cell and then just showing the animal different kinds of stimuli, objects or faces or scenes, we find that faces activate the neuron much greater than any other type of stimuli. So we say that the cell has a preferred stimulus, and the preferred stimulus is that which produces a maximum response. Objects and scenes do not activate a face cell very much at all. So at this point, we have fMRI studies identifying face regions, face areas, and electrical recording studies showing that those face regions are composed of face cells that are selectively activated by faces. Now, there are also evidence from human studies about the significance of these face regions. This individual, unfortunately, has a severe form of epilepsy, and as part of the treatment, he has had electrodes inserted into his brain to determine where the locus, where the origination point for the seizures is located. And so scientists or doctors will try to remove that area of the brain. As it so happened, some of the electrodes happen to be in the fusiform face area, and so scientists were able to stimulate this area to see what the effects would be to his perception. And when they stimulated this region while he was looking at the doctor, for example, the patient reported that the doctor's face seemed to transform in a very weird way into the face of somebody else. So stimulation of the fusiform face area in awake, conscious humans produces face perception disturbances. So far then, we have fMRI identifying face selective regions. We have single cell recording confirming that these cells are face selective. When we stimulate this region in humans, we get disturbances of face perception. It's looking like a pretty tight case that this region is processing faces. Now, on top of this, if you put somebody in the fMRI machine and you ask them to imagine a face, you also get activation of the fusiform face area. So if the face area is activated during imagery, it suggests that this area not only is activated when we perceive faces, but also when we remember faces. So this area is either a part of the memory system for faces or is used in reconstructing memories for faces. This has come to be known as the reactivation hypothesis. Those regions used to process stimuli are also used to store or reconstruct memories that involve those stimuli. So if we're perceiving a face, of course, we have a face out in the world, and the visual system will activate the face area. But if we close our eyes and simply imagine a face, we are internally reactivating the very same regions that are used to perceive faces in the outside world. So face perception results in stored representations of different faces, that is, memories. The hippocampus is instrumental in making an original memory trace of the face learning episode and then consolidating the memory trace in the cortex. You'll recall HM had difficulty making new episodic memories. Well, he could not remember new faces either. So in other words, if you were to greet HM and then step outside for 5 minutes and return, he would not remember that he has seen your face before. The cortical sites of learning-induced plasticity are currently under investigation, so it's not clear whether face memories are formed in the fusiform area itself or somewhere further along the visual pathway, or both. So in the next part, we'll try to understand what's going on in the fusiform face area. How could neural activity code for a face?